Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to New Life Live. Steve Arterburn here, as you heard. Joining me, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and Marc Cameron is here with us, and so glad that he is. Hi, guys, and welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Mark.
Now, you know, the last time I was with you, I asked Jill this question, and so
It's your turn, Mark.
Yes, it is your
Right.
turn. And so, Mark, what is, let's just say, well, the most common problem that you're dealing with in these days in your practice, and give us some wisdom around that problem, and why is it a common problem?
I think probably the most common thing that I see is probably anxiety. And it's not that that's necessarily the presenting problem that someone comes in and says, hey, I got a lot of anxiety, I need you to help me with it. But what I find is that anxiety really is what's below and beneath most reactivity, right? Anxiety comes from the belief that there's something that we're not going to get, that we think that we can't live without. And so our brain, anxiety is our brain telling our body to react, to do whatever it needs to do to either deal with that need going unmet or to try and get that need met. But if we can learn to recognize anxiety, what it feels like for us, then we can do something about it. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, take every thought captive. And so I think that's what people who manage anxiety well do, because we need anxiety. Right, it's adaptive. My wife said to me yesterday, if you don't have anxiety, you're dead. Yeah. and I think that's true, right? Because when we're driving in traffic, if somebody swerves into a lane, right, your brain needs to say, danger, 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 move out the way. Mm-hmm. If that's not happening, there's a problem. Yeah. So the goal is not really to get rid of anxiety; it's to learn how to manage it.
People don't realize that,
right?
They want the absence of any discomfort, right?
Correct.
Especially if they're prone to addiction.
And if that's how you pursue it, then you're not really going to get to learn how to deal with it and how to manage it well. And so because anxiety is that your brain telling your body to react, if we can learn to take captive every thought, understand this is anxiety, where's that coming from, then we can learn to manage it, right? And I think that's what secure and healthy people do, right? Is that they're not trying to get rid of all of their anxiety. They learn to identify it, notice it, that it's coming in, and then what they do is they develop something called a positive self talk, or internal dialogue, right? And they learn to calm themselves down. They realize it's temporary,
right? And looking at the meaning of the anxiety, right?
In every believer's thought life, one of the suggestions is this: that let's just say you settle yourself down with an internal dialogue of whatever. Like for me, I have a statement that I say to myself, hey, Steve, it's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And of course, the reason I know it's going to be okay, because it's always okay. Whatever I was afraid of 10 years ago, that didn't destroy me, whatever. But what we say is, why don't you turn that internal dialogue into what God wants, and that is for you to pray without ceasing. And so you go, wow, this is scary, and you just go right into God. This is really scary. Here I am again. I'm talking to myself, but I want to talk to you. I need to rely on your strength, your peace. And so all of a sudden now you're praying, and you're in communication with God and asking for God's power and wisdom in this situation. It's a totally different perspective. But I'm so glad you brought up anxiety. It's a big problem. And we've got a devotional, 100 Days to Freedom from Anxiety. And then, of course, every believer's thought life. Some people it's lust, others it's worry, others it's anxiety. Every one of those is dealt with in every believer's thought life. We'll take a break. We'll come right back with phone calls. We'll go to Ann first from Louisville, Kentucky. See you right after this break.
I'm 433 pounds.
How long have you weighed that much?
I've probably been over 300 at least 15, 20 years. I'm 39. Feel like I've just been a failure in every area of my life.
Does this sound like your story? It doesn't have to. If you want to live free of obsessions and compulsions in your eating habits, New Life's Lose It for Life online workshop can help. This online workshop features a one-day Zoom session presented by Steve Arterburn on Saturday, March 18th, plus breakout sessions led by a credentialed New Life Network counselor. Fitness expert Michelle Spadafora will lead exercise sessions, plus you'll receive exercise gear to allow you to start a home fitness routine you'll actually enjoy. If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that addresses the psychological, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a healthy lifestyle, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn here, and we do have Marc Cameron and Dr. Jill Hubbard right here, and we're going to go to Ann in Louisville, Kentucky, and hope and pray we can give her some help. Ann, how are you today, and how could we help you?
I'm good, and you're going to help me with my anxiety today.
All right, we'll do that, or try to.
Okay. I'm having anxiety. I offered to help a friend write a letter to her son. She's in hospice care, and he's been distant and just hurtful. Her heart's broken. And so I said, well, why don't I help you write a letter next week? I visit her once a week. Mm-hmm. But now I'm anxious. I need some advice on what we should put in the letter. I listen to you a lot, so I have some ideas what you're going to tell me, but we don't want to get it wrong because I don't want to push him away even further. But but I thought writing a letter might be better because people tend to get defensive if you try to talk to him about it, or she might say the wrong thing. She's worried about that. So I need some advice on that.
Okay.
Well, what is she wanting to convey? What's kind of at the forefront for her?
Convey, she's just really hurt. He's not really visiting her. He's just been distant and cold, and there's been some texts back and forth. It's like he's angry, but I don't think it has to do totally with the situation. I don't know the whole background, but her other two kids are visiting a lot, and it's just.
And how old is he?
He's 31.
31. And the other kids are how old?
He's also, they're late 20s. Mm-hmm. Late 20s.
And do the other kids have are they aware of their brother's distance? Do they have any insight for her on that?
I don't know if she's asked them, but he's also been very anti-God and anti-Catholic Church, and so I know they're aware of that.
Okay.
And I think that plays into it. That's just my own observation.
Okay, so obviously, or maybe not obviously, there's stuff here that hasn't been dealt with that's driving this, and it may be more than just him having a hard time dealing with the death,
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
So
how can she get an answer without pushing him away more, I guess is
I think,
question.
Anne, it's more about what would she want him to know before she passes, right? Okay. And to try to help him resolve things, right, by acknowledging perhaps past hurts that she's aware of, owning anything that she knows of that she's done, or asking him, letting him know that she would want to hear any hurts that he's had or ways in which she, has hurt him or upset him, and would like the opportunity to be able to apologize for her part, right? And doesn't want him to be left with that just sense of, my time here is short, and I don't want you to be left with these unresolved feelings about our relationship.
Yeah, because if he does not deal with it and connect with her, I think he will regret that forever, and so here she is, she's available, but not forever. And I would hope that anybody that's communicating with him would be saying things like, now's the time to face whatever conflict there is. You don't want this to be plaguing you years from now. And while she's here, you can resolve some things that once she's not, it's going to be much more difficult. So now's the time to courageously lean in and do the tough thing. Otherwise, the cost of not doing that is so great. That's what I would be saying to him.
So she's inviting him into relationship, and I think needs to make it more about him and less about, why aren't you visiting me?
Right.
Why are you mad at me?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
More about his well-being and her care and concern for him.
And I also wonder if this is his response. This is his grief response, right? The first the first stage of grief is denial, and it this avoidance, this distancing. It just could be, that's what's there underneath in their relationship, and now it's just amped all the way up. Now that he's having to come to terms with his mom passing away. Was their relationship, I mean, I don't know if you know, but was their relationship distant before she went on hospice?
Yes, to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, to some degree, but
so that's
I know she's mentioned anyway, yes.
No, sorry. So I was just going to affirm what you said there, Jill. That there sounds like there's some unresolved pain, and unresolved issue there that really needs to kind of be addressed.
Right. So, Anne, don't focus on having the perfect words, because then that feels like, oh my gosh, it's do or die on this letter. Maybe you start too by just asking your friend to talk to you about her relationship with her son. And just you listen and have her describe it and be aware of what went wrong. Where did she perhaps let him down, or where did things go awry? And really get her talking about it first, because I think then whatever you put in a letter may come more easily.
Well, and then...
Well, just to say, not where you went wrong, but where do you think he thinks you went wrong, just to make it a little less something to defend herself against. But I'll tell you, if she writes him a letter starting off with, I hate it that you don't visit me, well, instantly, now he's on the defensive, justifying why, and he'll make an even stronger case now for not visiting. So it really does need to be a humble plea for him to come so that she can help resolve anything, that she does not want him suffering or struggling throughout just because of something that she might have not done well or done very poorly. The goal is to get them together, and you may have to use some unique words to make that happen.
Yeah, and I think what else I would add is sometimes we have limited insight, right? And whether that's because we're just defensive and we don't want to look at where our flaws are, or just, maybe we've just missed it. And so you mentioned that there's 2 other siblings involved here. There's 2 other kids who come and see mom. So maybe if you can check in with those 2 other siblings and ask them their thoughts. Why do you think brother's not coming to visit? What do you think is there? What is the wound? Have they reached out to him? What's their relationship like? And so I think that might be a good way also to kind of explore, because again, I think if you can find out what really is the wound, and then in the letter or whatever the communication is, that specific thing could be addressed, then that might make a difference. Another thing you might want to think about too, if she does exhaust all of her avenues and all she has left is to give a communication, is you might want to help her make a video. That's something that can be rewatched over and over again, right? You can hear tone of voice.
That just makes that I never make it through. That makes me cry thinking about it. No,
great idea, Mark. Really good. And the other thing I was going to say is hospice care folks, so often they are just willing
Yes.
to do anything. And so you might want to ask them, hey, do you ever recommend that the family have a family meeting that's, run by one of you, or we need to bring somebody in? He might not visit her or want to come to visit her, but he might respond to, well, everybody in the family, this is part of the process. Everybody in the family is going to be there. I need to show up for that. And that could be a bridge to getting where we want. Yeah. And I would think that they do have family meetings frequently, because that's such an important part of the healing process. All right, I hope that's helpful to you. And I'll send you a gift of I'll send you the 1 Year Bible for Women by Misty, and then I want to send Jill's book, Forgiving Our Fathers and Mothers. I'll send you 2 copies. I want you to read it. I think that'll help you in this. But also, at some point, I hope you'll give him a copy of that, because his life is just going to be absolutely impacted by the lack of resolve here. And so we really want to help him to be able, as a man, to forgive her and move on without her being this thing that he never, ever dealt with. Yeah. So thank you for your phone call. Really appreciate that. So often you need to do something. You want to do something to help somebody, and there really is a good chance we've got a resource that could assist. I mean, so many resources. And if you need that, call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Explore what's available. There are books, there are videos, CDs. I mean, there are counselors, there are workshops. And I just hope and pray. I'm kind of thinking, we have to explore as a ministry this issue of forgiveness, anger, bitterness, acceptance, and maybe put together a workshop that deals with that very, very thing that is causing so much hurt and pain, is this lack of forgiveness or lack of reconciliation. And I continue to think of this passage where it says, as much as it's up to me, which I think is so great, because it doesn't say the other person is innocent. But in as much as it's up to me, I need to do what I can to make it right or make it better to the degree that I possibly can, versus operating under a mythological type existence of, well, no one should be forgiven unless they ask for it, or no one should be forgiven, hear this all the time, unless they deserve it after they've repented. Well, a lot of times, you've got people that have died, but the work of forgiveness still needs to be there.
Right, because they're alive and well in your head, right?
Yeah.
Right.
In your heart, and you're still reacting to them.
Forgiving the Unforgivable, or Forgiving What You'll Never Forget, both titles from Dr. Dave Stoop. Great books on forgiveness. And again, it doesn't set the other person free, doesn't impact them at all when you forgive. It just frees you. And that's what we want to see happen.
And forgiveness is a process too, Steve. I think it's important people understand that, because lots of times we think about it as this event, like I'll forgive someone and then, or I'll forgive them when I feel better about it. But really, you've got to practice, start the process of forgiving someone, that decisional forgiveness, before the emotional forgiveness piece follows.
Right.
Right, and it's always hard if you're in the midst of someone hurting you and they're still hurting you.
Right.
You can't really forgive, right?
Yeah.
We forgive what has happened.
Because there's new wounds that
There's
are
new
continuing
wounds,
to happen.
right?
Yeah,
We're
it's hard.
surviving it,
Yeah.
right? We're trying to get through it, but the forgiveness comes as it passes. And sometimes you can only forgive a piece of it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you just start with that. You start with a piece of it at a time.
And it's not like it's always earth-shattering, like you said, that suddenly you feel so much better. No, but it's a choice to hand it over to the Lord.
Well, I'm really big on these 3 words of projection, projecting that bitterness onto somebody else, their fault, whatever. And then rationalization, like whenever they ask for it, I'll forgive them. Or I should never forgive, they don't deserve it. And then the other one is just resistance. Sometimes we just hate being told what to do or hate doing what you're supposed to do. So we just resist at every level. We think we know better, but really what we are, we're afraid and we're trying to protect ourselves. And that's why we resist. But if you're in this resistant, reactionary mode and projecting all your problem onto somebody else and rationalizing what needs to happen, you're stuck. And you don't have to be. We can help you with that. And you're not alone, for sure, because there are a lot of people that those three words of projection and resistance and then rationalization, they fill their lives with nothing but stalling and never experience the good stuff. We'll take a break, come right back after this.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
This is Steve Arterburn. Do you feel like your marriage is broken? New Life can help. Our Intimacy and Marriage Workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy. Now, the next Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is February the 17th to the 19th in Orange County, California. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more, or go to newlife.com. Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to have that great marriage you always want.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong, and I would encourage really anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go to a New Life workshop. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
1-800-NEWLIFE.
Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEWLIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. I was listening to Terry Mack. I think most of you heard that. He's talking about coaching. And I have a little saying, whatever you're approaching, consider coaching, because it could be the answer. It could be the way that you finally get through something that you've been struggling with. And what coaches are just fantastic resource, a little bit different than counseling, and can provide you with some even like direct advice that maybe a counselor wouldn't feel so comfortable at leading you in. But I'll tell you, if you need a coach, counselor, whatever, you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now, we have been doing our Intimacy in Marriage Workshop for quite some time. And for a long time, I'll just tell you, we've done it. For a long time, we did it bringing new people in every time. We'd bring in somebody different. And I remember bringing in a quite famous person that wasn't part of the ministry, didn't really know what we did. And, I had heard them so many times, and they were so wise that I thought, man, if we could get them for that weekend, wouldn't that be fantastic? So we did, and they came in, and the first thing, the guy gets up there, and he says this, I don't really care about your marriages. Now, this is our marriage intensive. I don't really care about your marriages. If you would just get in ministry, then you'd be so focused on God that you wouldn't have these kinds of marriage problems. So I learned a lesson there that just because somebody talks well about a lot of things doesn't mean that they're going to help you at your marriage workshop. So we finally found Mylan and Kay. And we started to work with them. The way we found them was that I went to Milan at the most painful point of my life and have been to him many times since. And he and his wife were working on how we love. It wasn't a book yet. And the material was so powerful. We will always, I think, use that material. And but this next workshop is the last time that they're going to be doing it with New Life. And we'll have others that will present that material. But for anybody that said, well, we should go to this, we'll go sometime, this would be pretty much the time you'd want to go, because it's the last time they're going to be doing it with us. And so I hope and pray that you will. Now, it won't be weaker later, because just like anything, we've seen our workshops get better and better with new people, because we learn things other people do also. But intimacy in marriage, and the basis, the foundation of it, it's attachment style. Now, some people say, well, what is that? That sounds like hokey psychology and stuff. But Mark, you've worked over at Mylon K's ministry, Relationship 180. Mm-hmm. Why is the issue of attachment style so important for people to understand, deal with? Why is that so vital?
Yeah, well, we all have an attachment style, and what attachment means, it's another word for bonding. And so when we grow up in our families, we call them our families of origin, the families that you grow up in, you learn about relationships there. Those are your first lessons. And as kids, we have feelings, we have needs, corresponding needs to those feelings, and we make these expressions to try and get those met. And depending on how your parents respond to that, that forms an imprint on you. And you take those lessons, because we're in those families of origin for about 18 to 20 years. So you got about 2 decades worth of conditioning there, and that forms something called an attachment style or a relationship communication style, and we take that into all of our other relationships. And so there's a few, there's insecure attachment and there's secure attachment. Some of the insecure attachments are an avoider.
Well, just do this one thing.
Okay.
So my mommy or daddy, they were busy, nice people, people respected them. They were busy, never really, in this instance, they didn't fully nurture, or they didn't express love or something. So what's that going to do to this quote-unquote attachment style? What might that do for that person raised in a little bit of a disconnection?
Yeah,
or a lot of disconnection?
So if there's not a lot of attentiveness to someone's needs, there's not a lot of talk about emotions and connections and helping people put words to that, that person as a kid learns to suppress their emotions because they're not welcome, they're not accepted, and they're told to get over it. And so they learn to perform, and they develop this avoidant attachment style, meaning that they push away from their feelings, and so then they push away from feelings in others, and that really provides a block for connection.
And it doesn't show up while dating, because the adrenaline, the sexual attraction, all these other things kick in during that time. And if you don't date this person over a long period of time, you're not ever going to see that this is what I'm dealing with. And then the shock of it after you're married might cause you to want to reject them or distance yourself from them. But if you could see it beforehand, and then the work begins on what is there, and you're not shocked by it, and the other person is working on that detachment, see, it's all the difference.
Well, and a lot of times people think they've been fooled, right? But really it's their insecurities underneath, that they jumped all the way in and they didn't ask the right questions, and that person was there all the time. They just didn't discover it because they were just so, blinded by their romance.
It's not that you were fooled.
Right.
You fooled yourself.
Correct.
All right. We'll take a break, come right back. 1-800-229-3000. Larry Sonnenberg's in the studio. We want to talk about Larry's wonderful, he always brings a great testimony. We'll hear that. A reason for people to get better.
it had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images, and traffic to online porn sites has skyrocketed. Some say that's no big deal, it's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere.
After I found the pornography on the internet, I said, you either get help or I have to leave this household.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, February 4th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
Every Man's Battle was a life-changing experience for me and a marriage-saving experience for me.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 1-year Bible for men or the 1-year Bible for women. These Bibles combine the best-selling daily Bible reading format with 2-minute daily devotionals written to create a one-of-a-kind devotional Bible that you'll love. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, and Larry Sonnenberg is with us. So, Larry, I have promised a really amazing testimony here.
Yes.
What do you have?
Well, it's an amazing testimony. This is a very thorough testimony about New Life. Listen to just the verbs at the beginning. All of you at New Life have seen me through, instructed me through, coached, encouraged, counseled, led, loved me through nightmarish experiences I would never have dreamt Christians were dealt with in this life. Even more than daily doses of practical solutions, delivered in gentle, loving, respectful grace from your radio program, the resources you create and provide have helped to not only save this life, but more than a saved life, I can now see much evidence rippling out. Today is the direct result of every one of you answering the call to take up the mission. I live a free woman. I'm in love for the very first time with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That covers everything.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah,
right
it does. And that's what you guys are doing on radio. It's just fabulous. So, folks, that's why I come here with a lot of passion, seeking that you would consider supporting New Life. And there's so many ways to do it. You could do it just with a simple gift. Call 800-NEW-LIFE. You could go online and make a gift. You could join Club New Life. You could donate stock. You could give your firstborn child to us for a summer.
They could become an indentured servant under your direction. Things like that. We take it.
Yeah, but it's all joking aside. It's your giving makes a difference. It means lives are changed. Mm-hmm. And what else? What's better to give to than that? So appreciate it.
This is the stuff that's lasting, Larry.
Amen.
Versus the stuff that we do to entertain ourselves, right, or to prop ourselves up that we think will make us feel better. But the investment here in people makes such a difference, and it changes their lives, which then has the ripple effect to change other lives. And I love hearing the testimonies because we don't always know, right? We're just here talking into a microphone, one person at a time, and we don't know how far-reaching it is. So I always appreciate
Well, and that's one of the best ways to change our world, right? If we can change our community, that has a ripple effect and influences our nation and the world.
Right, and changing people relationally.
Right.
That's what makes a huge. There's so many causes out there that aren't unimportant, but that people get focused on. But it's relationship, right?
And
go ahead.
And it's when people give that they change themselves too. Just that act of giving, it's hard to explain, but until you do it, I mean, I'd just say, trust me, check it out, try it, see if you don't feel different, because you're now supporting something that's bigger than yourself. You're helping people. It's an amazing experience.
Well, I want to challenge folks, because I've recently spent time with a person who supported us greatly, huge support for New Life. And then why? Well, we provided some help to him, his family, marriage, and so he ends up, in response, giving a really large gift to New Life. Well, maybe you've been helped by New Life, but you don't have the ability to give a large gift. But I do think there's something to the gratitude and kind of giving it back. Whenever I speak somewhere, I'll always tithe 10% of that back to wherever I spoke, because I'm grateful for what they did and I want to support what they did. And I just want to encourage folks who have been helped by New Life that just maybe you would consider helping somebody else. Scholarship fund, general gift, whatever. Or maybe it's just, okay, I did this, maybe I could join Club New Life. I know of many, I think I could say accurately, thousands of people who saved, you probably cumulatively, you could say millions of dollars not having a divorce. So they were part of the pool, not just one person saving millions. But maybe that's true too. And you were so impacted by intimacy in marriage or every man's battle, and we'd love for you to help us with some of that saving there and celebrate the gift of freedom that you experienced by giving back. I would just ask you to consider that, if you would. Well, Larry, thank you for that. I appreciate you greatly. And I know you've been to so many of the Every Man's Battle workshops and connected with those men that are there. And it really is so rewarding to see that transformation.
Steve, I called the guy last week and wanted to thank him. He made not a huge gift, but a nice gift, a little bit above average. And left a voicemail. He called me back a little later, and he said, I've got to tell you, you guys are saving lives. I mean, literally. And I asked him, said, how long have you been listening to New Life? He says, I came in touch about 3 weeks ago through online search. And so
3 weeks.
And he is a surgeon, and he is dedicated and loves what we do, and I think he's going to be a giver for the rest of his life. He was sold out. But that's what happens when you get that life transformation. You're struggling with stuff, especially Every Man's Battle guys. It's so addictive. And they get through understanding what it is that causes that and what they have to do now to improve it and to restore trust and all that stuff. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get better than that. So,
well, I'll just take this occasion to talk about my favorite television show. It used to be, well, now it's Flea Market Flip, because you see transformation.
Such a guy show.
I love that show.
You see such a transformation of junk into something valuable, and so I'm always drawn to that. But before that, it was what not to wear, and on that show, a friend would call the show, the producers, and say, I've got a person in my life that doesn't dress well. And the show, if they liked the story, they would come out and they would film, or the person would use their phone to take film of this person doing things in the worst clothing possible. It was always fascinating to me. I haven't seen the show in quite some time, that whatever the part of their body that was looking the worst, they would often expose that part. It just was, and they could cover it up. But anyway, so one day I'm watching, extremely resistant person, one of the worst dressers ever. And she resisted at every point. She was angry that her friends had said anything about the way she dressed. Of course, her friends loved her and knew that a lot of times she was sabotaging herself, jobs and different things because of the way she looked. They wanted to help her. Finally, at the end, she breaks down, like most of these people do, in tears and says, I see it. I really see it. And when she did that, right before they went to the break, Clinton, one of the hosts on the program, he said this. He said, sometimes you just don't know you need help until you get help. Oh, I thought that was so profound. How many people have thought, well, it's their fault or they need to get their act together when there was something that they could do better that would either facilitate the other person getting help or they could see things they needed help in. And when they started to get help, the most resistant person in their lives started to get help too. I would just say this, everybody needs some help. Paul needed help. He said, the very thing I want to do, I just don't do it. And the very thing I do not want to do, well, I end up doing it anyway. And if you're really stuck on that, but you don't think you need help, maybe you're copping out by saying, and we talk about this in Every Believer's Thought Life, you say, well, I'm a sinner saved by grace, and just move on. But maybe that's an excuse. And maybe if you reached out to get some help, you would discover some areas that needed help that you never dreamed of. Just like in marriage, in our marriage workshop, you may have no idea what an attachment issue is, but once you do, you're so grateful that you're able to do it.
Steve, talking about the marriage workshop, there are so many times that we read surveys afterwards, and a wife will say, I came here because my husband had to get this, that, or the other. But she said, I discovered I was part of the issue. And then, so it's just what you're speaking to. You think it's somebody else, but if you go and
right,
get some help.
If you're a person that always listens to sermons and thinks of other people, right?
What do you mean? I never do that.
No, it really is so true.
Right? It's so true. You hear a speaker and
Absolutely.
you're thinking of all the people that need to hear this, right? That's a good clue that, what am I avoiding looking at in myself, right?
Well, the first day of our intimacy in marriage, I just tell people, I know that you're excited to be here and you've been praying that your spouse would be helped greatly. So, but it isn't about that. True. It's about you. All right, we're going to talk to Lee from Virginia Beach, listening on WPMH as soon as we come back from this break. If you need help, call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you don't think you need help, call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You may discover it wasn't just help that you needed. It was a whole new way of living. We'll be back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries. We know that Christian counseling changes lives. We hear evidence of that every day.
My relationships with my husband, with my friends, with my family are much richer and deeper and honest. Particularly my relationship with God, I see Him in a more accurate form and begin to trust Him more. There's joy and there's peace because I have the internal tools that I can trust. So it's radically changed my life. I'm just not even the same person.
Our nationwide network of licensed Christian counselors means there is help available near you.
Take the leap, jump in, and go for it. It's changed my life completely.
You don't have to be stuck where you are, but you can't really expect to change unless you take action. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. It could be the start of a whole new life for you. Christian counseling works, and we can help. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE today. Someone who cares is always there at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Marc Cameron, Dr. Jill Hubbard Lee from Virginia Beach. You're on. How are you, and how can we help today? Thanks for calling us.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? I'm in my car.
We can.
Okay. I'm a little nervous. Bear with me. I'm calling because I'll try to make it short. My father lives with me. He moved in with me after my mom passed away.
Yeah.
And I started noticing that he was drinking and he was hiding it. And we've come to discover that he has a gambling problem. I have confronted him. He thinks I don't know. He thinks he plays it off really well, and he doesn't. And I don't know what to do because he's my father. He's in his 70s. He lives at home. Is it something that I've tried to confront him? He's admitted to me one time that he does actually have a problem, but then after that, it's almost like he took it back, and it's like I'm imagining things.
Yeah. Okay.
And I tried to get him to go to a Celebrate Recovery.
Uh-huh.
And because the very first time he admitted to me that he had a problem, he said he would go. And then when I got him there, I know he went the first time. I hate to say this because we went and checked. And then, so I think he's going to Celebrate Recovery, but he's coming home at different hours. So I checked on him again about last week, and it turns out he wasn't there. So then we went to try to find his vehicle at the local bars, and we found his car there.
Okay. So what's the question for us specifically? Don't know what to do. All right. Mark, let's start.
Do I confront him?
Okay. Let's get some help for you.
Well,
Mark, what are your thoughts?
Lee, let me ask this question too. What problems is this causing for you in your household?
Well, originally, when my kids were in the home, it was worse because I felt like, he was doing stuff, and sometimes he'd come home and you can tell. I even thought he was having a stroke once, and that's because I didn't realize he was drinking. And I had to hide it from everybody. Now the kids are grown up and they're out of the house, but I don't know. And then the other part of it's the gambling, and then he never has money, and then he's borrowing it from us, and then we find out through different ways that he's actually lost his money gambling it, and then he comes up with these crazy stories on why he has no money, and he wants to borrow from us on top of it. So that's why I'm saying I don't know what to do. It's like, do I just let him live his life?
Well, what I would say is stop lending him money, because at this point, you're enabling him to continue his lifestyle. So, and I would maybe have a concern about drinking. I don't know if you do have a concern about drinking and driving too. If he's going to bars and then he's over-serving himself and then he's coming home. But I would think about the things that you can do to limit his lifestyle. Again, like stop giving him money. Maybe. There's a way to other ways that you can hold him accountable if he's going out and drinking late, and I don't know what those are with your father's capabilities, but it could be locking the door if he's not home by a certain time, or it could be giving a boundary and saying, hey, in order for you to continue living here, like these are the rules, these are the boundaries for our household. But it sounds like you do, you're talking about, you mentioned earlier that you did confront him, but then it sounds like you're saying, well, how do I confront him? So it sounds like the confrontation that you had wasn't strong enough.
Yeah. And again, it's just, but it's so obvious that the lending of money must simply never be an option. Never. And then.
But now that I realized that he was doing that, I have stopped. Yeah.
Good. Then the other thing is, what is he responsible for to do around the house and maybe even pay? And you do have a right to have some expectations. Jill, we're almost out of time, but I wanted to hear your perspective.
Right. Lee, I think you have to look at, what you tried before, and then let's do something different. Okay. Also, wouldn't be a bad idea for you to do a little bit of your own work, maybe some Al-Anon work for you, so that or a life recovery group, so that you have a greater sense of being able to set those boundaries, but also detaching some. Because you're right, this is his life, yet the impact falls on you because he's living there and because you care about him. So in confronting someone, confrontation doesn't always have to be angry. In fact, it's often more effective when it's not angry. And when you appeal, in a sense, to his heart and let him know how much you care about him. He's your dad. You want to respect him. You brought him in when your mom passed. And you're in a difficult position because he's always been an authority, but now you see him doing things that really hurt him, and they also hurt you. And that you can't be a part of that.
Yeah. And a way to remember,
because he taught me so different.
Well, sure. Here's what I'd say, based on what Jill was saying too. A little phrase, of course, it came from me, so it's going to be a little trite, but sadder, not madder.
Yeah.
So you want to be sad about him, sad for him, and whenever you find yourself mad at him, you really want to stop and say, wait a second, that's probably not going to help at this point. I need to be in or I need to be fully regulated of my own emotions here, and I need to express my sadness versus my anger that I can't impact this, my anger and frustration that I can't control this person that I love. That could be a little saying that would help you through the day.
And that actually may be a good way to start what you just said there, Lee, that he didn't teach you that. So start with that. Hey, Dad, I really appreciate the way that you brought me up and the values that you had, and I'm really confused because what you taught me and what I've learned is not what you're modeling for me right now.
Yeah.
So that might be a good way to start.
And also, you can talk in terms of a gambler, that, you are gambling because you expect that the odds will one day be in your favor. Well, the life that you're living, there are no odds in your favor. And if the big win is you putting your head on a pillow and feeling like a godly, secure man at peace with himself and at peace with others, and that's where we want to help you get to. And so, as painful as it is, here's the new thing. We are not dropping you off at Celebrate Recovery anymore. We are going to go to a meeting with you, a speaker meeting, a public meeting, and we're going to help you get into and stay into a recovery program, because this is just not going well, and we love you and care about you. All right. The last time we were together, it was National Handwriting Day, and I forgot to mention one of my other favorite hobbies is going to Goodwill, and I just read the other day, a person went to Goodwill, loved the frame, went to tear out the picture after brought it home, and there was something folded up in the back of that picture, and it was one of the 20 remaining signed Declarations of Independence, John Hancock's real name. And so he went to Goodwill, bought a 59-cent frame, and sold the Declaration of Independence for $2.3 million. It encourages me. And that's why the movie of my life will be entitled Goodwill Hunting, because I love the fun there. Hey, if you need help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That is exactly what we're here for. Revelations 21:4 says, He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things will pass away. Heavenly-minded people don't worry about earthly, grounded things. Get that brain thinking about heaven. Every believer's thought life. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Places where we can help you change your perspective. Thank you, Jill and Mark and all of you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.